our Griffin-Spalding County School public hearing, fiscal year 2025 final budget presentation to order. And if everyone would put their electronic devices on silent, I would appreciate that. And I would entertain a motion for the adoption of our agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0. All right. We then have our presentation. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members. Good evening, public. This is our last and final public hearing on our FY25 budget. Prepared a brief overview for you this evening. These are some of the same slides, but pared down just to really at the fund and function level with a few little tidbits of information. So let me go ahead and get started on that. Again, communicating effectively is my role here today to make sure everybody understands what we're going to ask for adoption on later on in just a little bit at the 4 o'clock p.m. meeting. Everything we do is about empowering each student to graduate college and career ready. Roadmap for success, FY25's budget will be the third year of the superintendent's strategic plan. Again, aligning resources is here what we're trying to make decisions on today to put us in good shape for the future here in the school district. You'll notice this slide from the last meeting. It was tweaked from the meeting prior to that, but no changes since then. $181.9 million is our total funding sources. The largest is the general fund. Obviously, that's our state QBE money based on children count, and our local property tax digest is what makes up the main sources of that. Special revenue funds, which is our grants. Capital project funds, which is our building and construction, which you'll realize what's going on in this building now, which is why we're here today in this room. School nutrition with our community eligibility provision revenues there, where each student receives breakfast and lunch at no cost. And then new this year, debt service fund for a bond referendum that will be, you have already approved us to be able to do that. An interest payment is somewhere around $1.4 million for FY25. So we will be proposing a deficit budget of $4.5 million. $3.5 million of that is approximate for a retention plan the superintendent has laid out for approval. But the total funding sources of that will be coming from our fund reserves. Griffin-Spalding has a very healthy fund balance, which over the years we've been able to accumulate to be able to make some good discretionary decisions moving forward. These slides are, the only thing I changed from last meeting is I put some numbers on the left, 1 through 7. I won't go over every one of them. It's retention proposal. It is $2,500 salary increase for certified and some step increases, health insurance benefits, et cetera. All of that totals about $9.8 million as far as the spending, but we are reimbursed for some of those costs or fronted those costs from the state for certified employees that we actually earn. So in summary, here's your slide from the beginning again, 181.9 million total funds. We did want to point your attention to the bottom bullet. The revenues being proposed here at this point are pretty much from the same revenue structure as FY24. So the revenues at the millage rate as it is right now brought in 24 are what's been based on this budget for next year. When we get to the millage rate hearings here in a few weeks or a month or so, if there's a decision made contrary to that, it could bring the deficit down some, it could make the deficit worse. But for right now, these are conservative revenue figures. I wouldn't think it would get any worse or whatever than this. The revenue should only get better because I based it on current assessment values from FY24. So a timeline, today we will ask for your approval at the 4 o'clock p.m. Meeting, the Board of Education work session. I do have a meeting trying to get planned right now. I'm waiting on an email back from Ms. Hollums for June the 6th, which is this week. And June 20th is a date. I'm trying to confirm some data with the tax commissioner. And then some to be determines. We don't have dates for these items set, but we could have millage rate hearings 2 on one day, as long as they're separated by a certain amount of time. And then we could have a called meeting or have another meeting at the time of another Board of Education meeting at your pleasure. And then communicating the Board of Education millage in a formal letter to the county manager. They have to ratify our millage rate at a county commissioners meeting, And then August 1st is the deadline for the tax commissioner due date for the millage rates to the state of Georgia. Again, that can be amended with an extension from Ms. Holland's office. So, Mr. Chairman, that is the presentation at this time, sir.
All right, board members, you heard the presentation. Is there any questions that you might have?
Yeah, I got one.
Mr. Holmes?
I don't know who would be best to answer it. With the recent activities, you know, from the county with the tax office, will that affect us any kind of way?
Do you mean, Mr. Holmes, will it affect like the timeline or our process for establishing?
Process, timeline, taxes, because I'm assuming, because I don't know all the details, that it, I guess, is mostly concerning tax collections and things of that nature. So I'm wondering, would their action affect anything coming to us as far as tax, coming out of the tax office?
So you understand the question?
I believe so. So just the way it normally works, the tax assessor's office is responsible for sending out assessments. Everybody in the county would receive assessment notice and then have 45 days to appeal that. To my knowledge, those have not gone out as of yet. At that point, the tax commissioner works with the assessor's office and prepares the 5-year tax digest, of which we use as a basis to have firm information with the Board of Education. Now, we could bring information preliminarily to you under the superintendent's direction, and you can have a variance, like if that digest has not been confirmed, but your appeals are under a certain amount, we could bring that digest to you earlier than waiting on that information, but there is a variance that could cause you to make a decision that you might be up or down on the millage rate. So again, for the purposes of this presentation, these taxes are based on the 16.742 value of that mill this year. So if you rolled it all the way back, you should be getting the value of what I'm showing you here. Anything that you roll back that's not a full rollback, you would have an increase, if that makes sense to you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Do we have any general public? Did we do a sign-up sheet for anyone that wanted to make or address the board? Wasn't that anyone here? No one here publicly wanting to do that? Our Morehouse buddy, he's not? Okay, just double checking.
Michelle, did you want to speak to the board? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Any other things that we need to know? Okay, hearing none, we will, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. All right, we will start our workshop in about 15 minutes.